Boom, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having a great Saturday and an amazing weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that obviously, I love so much. You know the drill. Hop into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from? Well, I'll make sure that, we're firing on all cylinders where we are supposed to be. And it looks like we are. All right. LinkedIn I always have to refresh LinkedIn and click to join. It doesn't just automatically show up. Okay. Looks like we are on LinkedIn and in the Facebook group. It looks like we're firing on all cylinders. Again, hop into the comments. You know, I like to say this is an interactive show, and it's an engaging show. And I always like to give my viewers the shout out that they so richly deserve. Again, we're here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, live to the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, the Facebook group, and the website for the show. But I always encourage everybody to kind of get plugged into the YouTube channel. That's where all the main content is, really. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, give a thumbs up, all that good stuff so that you're notified of when the show goes live and when great content goes up on the channel, of course. And so definitely would love to hear from you on that note. Also, big shout out, as always, to today's sponsor of the show, DG Graphics. They do all the graphics, animations, overlays, and all that stuff, and basically make us look good. So if you're a business or a brand that's looking to level up your brand design, create more engaging content, and step up your game on your social channels, then you definitely want to reach out to DG Graphics as well. Also, have to put it out there. Support for the channel, as always, that goes without saying. We can't do this as creators without your help. And definitely, I love a great cup of coffee. So buymeacoffee.com there /Don Terrell. There you're able to support my content. Any little bit helps me to continue to create great content and bring great guests and do this show, all that kind of good stuff. Mr. Alkebulan, good evening. Appreciate you stopping by there. It's Maggie. Appreciate you tuning in there. Hey, what's going on? Hope you're having a great weekend, of course. No, I am not on the West Coast. I am in Central Standard Time. I'm in Houston, Texas. So I'm in Texas, so Central Time. No, not West Coast. What else? Also, if you're one of those ones that, loves to just listen to the audio, you can find us now on some of the audio platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio Music, and the like. And, there you're able to listen to just the audio portion of it. For those that like to listen on the go. And we're looking to put even more episodes up and grow that as well. So definitely any type of comment, thumbs up, helps the algorithm for sure. What else? Man, I'm trying to make sure that I get all this housekeeping stuff. That's always the thing. And I got to say, thank you for joining me on this last episode of the quarter. We're closing out quarter 2 with a bang. The first 2 quarters have been on fire, and the last half of the year is not going to be any exception. For sure. So I cannot thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time to close out this quarter before we go on a short hiatus break, as we normally do. And again, I'm so looking forward to today's episode. Today's episode is you could almost say it's kind of a makeup episode, because today's guest was originally scheduled, I think 3 weeks ago at the beginning of the month. But an emergency came up at the last minute. He wasn't able to make it, so we had to do a pivot. But we were able to bring him back around, and he was able to come back on. So now we have him back on, and so looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation with him for sure. All righty. With that, I think we're about ready to get this show on the road and have us a fun conversation. What do you think? Huh? Wow. My next guest, he's a Nigerian animation pioneer in the pioneer industry, architect and creative entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in storytelling. Oh, excuse me. Storytelling, animation, production, and ecosystem development. Based in Lagos, he has built a career not only as a scriptwriter, director, and executive producer, but as a long term builder of Nigerian animation infrastructure. Through Spoof Animation, he has led the development and production of original animated projects and provided structured production services to independent creators and organizations. His focus extends beyond content creation to building disciplined production pipelines, nurturing emerging talent, and advocating for standards that enable African studios to compete globally. Recognizing early that talent alone would not grow the industry, he's founded major platforms including Lagos's Comic Convention, Rendacon Animation Summit, Ibadan Fan Expo, and the NICE Awards initiatives designed to create visibility, collaboration, and commercial pathways for Nigerian and African creators. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Ayodele Elegba, CEO and founder of Spoof Animation. Finally, we're able to get you on.
Finally.
Yes, finally. As I was telling everybody, you were originally scheduled the beginning of the month, but emergency came up and we had to make a pivot. But I'm so glad that we were able to quickly bring you back around and have you back on because I am looking forward and have been looking forward to sitting down and talking to you just about building an animation studio and building an animation studio over in Lagos. We were kind of talking a little bit before just the challenges that you have to go through over there to get things done. So I'm looking forward to hearing kind of your perspective and insight on the industry, especially from that perspective. But first, I would like to ask you kind of what inspires you. What was it that got you interested in animation in the first place?
Well, to just summarize, I think I've always been a lover of animation. I grew up on the old cartoon shows, um, all the way from America then, because we are really influenced by America and UK. We are colonized by the UK.
Yeah,
So a lot
yeah.
of shows um, like Danger Mouse, like
Wow,
Super
that
Ted,
yeah, that
all the
Danger
old
Mouse.
favorites. So so I've always loved animation. I've always been intrigued by how is animation made? How is it created? Like from when I was like very young. So growing up, I did a lot of research. Trying to understand what exactly animation. And luckily for me, there was no YouTube then. There was no internet like we have today, where you can just
Yeah,
Google and search for so many things. So but I was lucky to find some books in my school library that I read, and I began to understand the 12 principles of animation, 24 frames per second, and I began to practice, started drawing, and started doing my own thing, in my house then. So I've always loved animation. I've always loved the animes. I've always loved um, s- uh, this show. What's it called? Speed Racer,
oh yeah, yeah.
Voltron.
Speed Racer.
Uh,
Yeah,
so many shows. So yeah, so I thought that it's something that's possible. I was able to do it at that young age. At the age of 16, 17, I was already animating. I was,
yeah.
I did my first. I can remember vividly my first anime. Not my first, maybe my heartfelt animation was the one I did. After watching, I think it was Pinocchio. After watching Pinocchio, that scene where came out of the water, splashed, and swallowed Pinocchio. I was like, I need to recreate that, and I that was my first major animation, self frame animation that I did in my home, using Xerox paper and with kerosene on top to make it look like cell paper. Put it outside, dried, and I started drawing on it, and all that. So
Oh,
yeah, I've
but
always loved animation, and I love animation even till now. I wake up every day going to work excited. I love animation. Genuinely, I love animation. I wish I could do this all my life.
well, was it hard finding your community of others, that were interested in animation like you when you were growing up? Other kids and other, just youth that were just as enamored with animation as you were.
Yeah.
Was it hard to kind of find your community? Was it a big thing? Was it a large community where you were at that you could find, wow, there's a lot of kids that really are interested in animation and want to learn about it?
Um, you know, um, you know, when I was growing up, comics animation was kind of frowned upon. We were looked down upon, kind of like, oh, what are you doing? You should be trying to be a doctor, you should be trying to be an engineer or a lawyer
Yeah,
or something. Why are you wasting your time watching cartoons? So when I was growing up, I didn't really have much people who I knew as friends who drew, who loved cartoons, who loved animation. Maybe they watched it, as a hobby, as a hobby, but not like, oh, they want to make animation. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And I realized that there was a stigma that I needed to correct, and I tried to find a couple of people who I felt loved animation, loved comic books, that I could collaborate with, but there were so few,
yeah,
that I knew about, and that was what initiated me to start Lagos Comic Con in 2012. Because I wanted to have a safe space where geeks like myself
yeah,
could just just
yeah,
come around and geek out and talk about the latest comic books, have like superhero battles, just talk about their favorite comic books and just geek out and just have fun,
yeah, yeah,
and Lagos Comic Con happened, and it made me realize that I was not alone.
Mm.
It was safe for me to, in quotes, come out of the closet and say, "Look, yeah, I love comics," and I was proud of it,
Yeah,
and I wasn't ashamed anymore. And we've been doing Lagos Comic Con for 15 years now, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, since that's kind of when you were growing up, that was kind of frowned upon. Who did you find to kind of help mentor you and kind of encourage you to continue on? I mean, I don't know. Your parents were probably saying you need to get they want you to get a, more stable job type of thing. You always try and find that one person. I had a counselor, even though my mom was, so, I had a counselor that was really behind me and really encouraged me and helped me really kind of, further my passion for art. Did you have that teacher or neighbor, friend, or somebody that kind of inspires you and help mentor you and nurture that passion in you?
Um, I think I'm one of the lucky ones,
Mm-hmm.
because my father, my dad's an artist, and was a full time artist. He did paintings, he did sculpting. He was a very good artist.
Yeah.
And I think at a younger age, I think I grew up seeing him draw. I grew up seeing artworks all over the house. I grew up seeing lovely colors, paintings on the wall. I saw him taking artworks to galleries and all that. So I was born into the arts. Okay, I love the arts, and he was someone who really wanted me to follow in his footsteps. Okay, he really wanted me to follow in his footsteps, and I had a mom as well who had a very wild imagination. My mom was a secretary then, for the government, and she had these lovely ideas. I remember us, at night, instead of telling us stories, she would bring out a fat big book with lots of white pages in it. I was like, guys, we're going to write this story. So every night we wrote a page. I
Mm.
which was based off her. She's called Sheyi Amore. Her maiden name is Amore. So we created this fictitious detective character, that was called Shinamo. Which later featured in one of my comic books. Coming out very soon. So she was very supportive. My dad was also eager to see me go into the arts. May God bless his soul. He's late now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that when I was in secondary school, that's your high school. I remember I had a story with one of my friends in school, and we wanted to have a comic book. I remember my mom, taking all the pages of the comic books drawn, taking them to work, and photocopying all the pages. Photocopying them. This Xerox, this
Xerox,
colored
yeah.
Xerox, yes, colored pages. So they came out in colors. So it was very colorful. And he would say, "Look, Ayo, I believe in you," and then together we staple it together, and we sold it in school. I was selling out. I was selling out in school.
Ah,
So
that's
yeah,
inventive. It's about, kids can be really inventive to make some money. And that's, like I said, it gets you learning
yeah,
about
she
how
she
to
she
put,
taught me how to make money.
yeah,
Yeah.
and put a book together that, is a great book. Um, so for you, what did you feel like, you were seeing, obviously, Disney, the classics, the big studios, the US, the West was playing over there. Did you get even or know about any kind of local animation or seeing any type of local type of animation or, animations or, stories that you were seeing that was made by an African creator, other than just Disney and stuff like that? Were you seeing were local people making animations at the time, even if they were on a small scale?
Um, growing up, I grew up poor. I didn't have a lot growing up,
Yeah.
so I didn't really have access to the rest of the world. I didn't see much of the world growing up. So I was maybe limited to just what I could watch on TV at the time, and when I was growing up, I had like maybe three or four channels, that you could watch, on TV box,
Yeah.
So there weren't a lot of influences for me, outside of Disney, outside of anime, outside of the regular cartoons I've mentioned, but they had a very strong impression on me. It was while growing up I realized that there were other people like myself who were also doing stuff elsewhere across the continent, and that really warmed my heart, and of course when Lagos Comic Con started, it kind of brought more people out to say, look, I do
Yeah.
this. And then there began this healthy rivalry, this healthy rivalry of people wanting to be better, wanting to show off, wanting to show what they could do. I remember the first Lagos Comic Con, I invited Mushindo Kumba. Mushindo Kumba, I don't know if you know him.
No.
He was one of our guests, our international guests back then in 2012. Met him on Facebook and we connected. I was like, brother, would you like to come on our show here in Lake, virtually, back in the day. So people seeing his work, like, wow, this is possible,
Yeah.
and I guess Nigerians we can be very competitive. When we see something good, we are very competitive. We want to show you we can do it as well, and
Yo.
I'm glad to see a lot of Nigerians now working in Marvel, Netflix, working with Disney, doing great
Yeah.
stuff all over the world right
And I'm gonna, and then, that's obviously something we're gonna dive into because obviously, Africa's, wow, you've always had creators and stories over there. Now it's starting to really kind of step into the spotlight. Studios over there, stories from over there. Like I said, we're seeing Disney's partnering with studios over there, Kazazimoto. We're starting to see this kind of growth over there. How are you, from that perspective, starting to see the industry kind of blossom or go?
now. Yeah, that's a good question. I think Africa has really come of age in terms of storytelling. I like what is going on right now in the industry. I like Disney coming in, supporting and coming up with Kugali, helping Kugali to bring out, even though it's a Disney production, but
Yeah,
then
working with
working
creators over
with
there.
an African studio. We've seen Kizazimoto as well doing well. We've seen Mama K on Netflix
You know,
from Triggerfish.
yeah,
So we
Iwaju. There's a lot of them out there.
Iwaju,
Iwaju.
Iwaju, and my good friend now, Roy Okupe, Deumi Roy Okupe, with his show Yanu. Yanu is also doing
Yeah,
very well
yeah,
right now on
yeah, yeah,
HBO and
yeah.
Cartoon Network.
You know,
So there's been strong attention on African stories, and I guess it's because of I think it's because of the eagerness and the love for guys like you in the US. I mean, blacks in diaspora who want to know more about the motherland, who want to hear
reconnect.
stories of where they came from, and I think that buzz from there is actually making it look like, oh, there's a market now for this, and a lot of black independent producers, publishers in America now who have a voice, who have a
Yeah,
voice in mainstream media now,
media.
saying, look, we want more black content, we want more black content. So I think that's having a ripple effect for us here because right now we are seeing even more independent producers looking towards Africa in terms of outsourcing, in terms of collaboration, and it makes me really proud. I'm really happy to be a part of this journey because I just imagine if I had not started Lagos Comic Con back in the day, who knows where
Yeah,
we'll be today?
yeah, we did.
Because yeah,
Yeah, and it takes all it takes is one, one step that make that start,
yeah, it's a
for
domino
sure.
effect.
Domino effect. Miss Kelly Campbell. Yeah, Speed Racer is a classic. I grew up a Speed Racer myself, so Speed Racer was one of those comics that kind of made anime out, kind of mainstream here in America. Speed Racer, but um, there's so much I want to dive into you with about because again, especially when building something over in Africa, and just the thing of dealing with resources that we over here kind of take for granted. We were kind of, jokingly before the show talking about just, the issue of power and, of having to kind of, like I said, work with what you got, I guess you could say, and work with, what you have. How has that been for you, challenging wise, building a studio that, has you're trying to build and trying to put out the best quality and compete and do work, um but you realize that, hey, you don't have all the resources. Again, I think that's the thing with, I've talked with a lot of African creators, just getting resources to do creating is very difficult sometimes. I had a stop motion, you might know her, Esther Gabadabosi, stop motion animator. She was talking about the resources of getting material, of just the challenge of getting material and resources and stuff. Do you see something that's going to need to be kind of addressed more? Just, really strengthening the infrastructure of Africa in the industry?
That's it. That's a very good question. Um, for me, I when I wanted to go into business, when I wanted to go into animation, set up Spoof Animation, one of the people I read about was Walt Disney. I read about Walt Disney, and boy, that guy had a lot of challenges. He had lots of challenges, and he didn't give up. He didn't give up. So when I started Spoof, I told myself, I'm not going to be a victim, because I see a lot of people have this victim mindset. Oh, the government is terrible. Oh, this
Yeah,
is bad. This is terrible. Oh, let's burn the whole country down. But I told myself, no. I'm going to use what I have to get what I want.
yeah,
Okay, and really, if you look at it, um, let me, for example, I was in South Africa some years ago, and at a festival, I think it was at a festival in South Africa, and there was a panel with some Nigerian filmmakers, and then the title of the panel session um, was how to make films like Nigerians. Like, it was like a case study. It's like analyzing Nigerians and like, let's know how you guys do it, because we want to learn from you. Sitting
oh
sitting
man,
in that panel, made me realize that what we call a disadvantage is somehow our strength. Is what
your
makes us
strength.
strong.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and when you look at the movie industry in Nigeria, you look at the music industry in Nigeria, great content, great movies, great music coming out from Nigeria,
yeah,
Burna
yeah.
Boy, Davido, and
A
all
lot of
that.
people don't realize that Nigeria really is got a big music and film industry.
Very
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
very big.
Um,
If they can make it, if they can come out and make it, then I can as well. So I told myself, no matter the challenges, no matter what I go through, we're going to walk through it, because I've come to realize also that if you deliver value, you there's a way people will come after you, money will follow you,
yeah,
and once you have money, there are some challenges you think you have that you could solve with money. Okay, and that's what we've been able to do. For example, right now we are being powered by generator.
Yeah.
That's why we are on. The light went off.
Yeah.
I had to switch on the generator, and now we are on. So because I realized working with guys in the US, in the UK, in Canada, yes, they understand the challenges we face, but it's a business. You need to come through. You need to do
Yeah.
what you have to do
Yeah.
to deliver quality, and that's what Spoof has been known for: quality. No matter what challenge we are going through, we deliver quality. And I'm proud to say that we've done some of the top 2D animation projects. Spoof has been doing some very quality work, and I'm really proud of it. We have the challenges, but we've been able to overcome those challenges and try to still build a global world class studio that everybody can work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you because I feel you may or may not think it, but I'm wondering how you feel like. Do you feel like it's going to take Africa coming together as a continent for the industry to really kind of take hold like it does over here, rather than, obviously Africa's got a lot of different countries, a lot of countries, and they're all kind of siloed working within, their own kind of space. Here, obviously, we got, government, with one country, government funding. And so they've got a lot of subsidies and things. So the government understands that, okay, this industry can make some money if we give like subsidies and work with it. Do you feel like that Africa is going to can get to that point where it's all one? You're all working under just one industry. Yeah, you got studios here in Nigeria, studios in South Africa, but as an industry, it's governed by one whole entity. Do you think that's possible within Africa? And do you think that's the key
I
that's going to keep kind of Africa from taking it to this global, really global level?
Okay, whenever I hear conversation or talk like this, I tend to cringe. I cringe a little because Africa is very big.
Yeah,
Africa is very big.
it's a very big country.
Uh, it's a very big country.
Yeah,
Nigeria has over 250 million people. 250 million
yeah.
people
And I don't know
in,
how
in
many
just
how many languages within just different
within
dialects and
within
language.
Nigeria. Within Nigeria, we have over 250 languages,
Yeah.
dialects. 250. Okay, so um, let's forget about um, this old Africa where everybody was one Africa. Even in the back in the day, there was not. I don't think we had one Africa.
No. Good.
Empire. We had the Malian Empire. We had different empires. Even the Oyo Empire was doing their own thing here. So uh, I don't really think I don't really think Africa needs to come together to do anything great. Okay. Um, right now we see it's like saying all of Europe coming together to make the industry. It's I don't think it's necessary. I, I,
Well,
I
okay,
think
so how do you get okay, but then if it's not coming together, individual governments getting behind universities, building universities that teach animation, schools, and all this stuff, so that you're not having to go out to say France or UK to learn or this and that. You're going to need some type of government backing to build these entities to teach, kind of the education and skill of it. So, I mean, do you feel
yeah,
like
you yeah, I agree. I was coming to that. I was
okay?
coming to that. What I think we do need we need to I think we need to first of all even agree as a nation or as a continent that animation matters. You know, when you see a population still struggling with poverty, still struggling with disease, malaria, you see a continent still plagued with all these other things, animation doesn't come top. Animation is not you
Priority.
know
That's
uh,
not a
it's
that's
not
not a
it's not
priority.
priority. Let's be honest. It's not priority. I'm sure they'll probably need more doctors, to take care of Ebola, in Congo than or maybe
The animators,
more.
yeah.
Exactly. So, but like I said, one of the things I liked about Walt Disney, and I think sometimes it's very easy to judge where Africa is now with where America is or where Europe is. But America didn't start animation that way. And America started from Walt Disney. America started from those days when Walt brought in people who knew nothing about animation and began a school. I guess that's Cal Arts, right? I think that's
Yeah,
Cal Arts,
Cal
right?
Arts. Yeah, he started Cal Arts. Yeah.
He started Cal Arts because he was saying, look, I can't wait for the government to come and train these animators. I'm not waiting for the government. I'm gonna try and find investors, try and find funding. I'm gonna make my first movie, and
Yeah.
I'll show the world what I can do. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to find projects that can say, look, wow, this came from Africa. Wow, this is good. This is good storytelling. And then that can bring like a domino effect to say, look, investors can now come into animation. Now, there's a lot of money out there, but I think investors are still a little bit still they're still risk averse because I was talking to an independent producer. He wants to make a feature film, and they were like, how long would it take you to make this film?" And I said, "Okay, give or take, let's look at 12 months, 12, 14 months." And I was like, "Wow, that's too long. That's too long. I can't. No, that's too long. That's too long.
That's
I
too
can shoot
long.
I can shoot a movie,
Well, yeah,
Netflix, get my money out.
yeah,
You
shooting the
know,
movie,
so
obviously animation is a different beast in and of itself.
exactly. So even investors don't even understand the medium. They don't understand the medium. They don't understand animation. So now imagine if an investor who wants to make profit from a project can't wait for you to finish a good project. How much more government?
Yeah.
How much more government? But just to also say, we've been lucky. In Nigeria, we've had a lot of support. In terms of trainings, we've had loads of people come into the country, do trainings. The French have really been supportive in terms of Annecy, taking some animators to Annecy in France to expose them to what animation is all about, and we've seen a very strong growth in the type of quality of animation that's been coming out from Nigeria. Ever since that collaboration started. So a lot of training has been going on. For example, I have an academy. I train animation. I train animators. I push them out. But the problem is, even when you train animators, there's no job. There needs to we have to have projects. You know.
Well, do you feel like this time is a great time for, and we talked about it a little bit before, indie creators? Do you think it's going to be those indie creators coming up with their own stories and just creating stuff and putting it out there that's going to make that change and make that big shift?
You are right. You are right. But my challenge is this: we have loads of indie creators who are creating in their rooms, in their parlors, in their studios, maybe one man studio, two-man studio. But my challenge and fear is that we are just in silos. We are in silos everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just silos everywhere. And in America as well, the same thing is happening because I was at the Afro Animation Summit last year,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and I was
Afro.
talking with animators, and everybody was just like, "Look, we need to come together. We need to come together." So even in America, we have lots of creators in silos, just doing their own thing, and that's
Yeah.
why, you know, black projects, even in the US, we don't have enough black projects in the mainstream. So my campaign and my hope is that we will, instead of having many small time studios, we'll have one or two, three, four, five big studios, big animation studios with 100 animators, creating jobs for animators. So that when you finish school, there is work, there is something to do. You know, while trying to set up Spoof, I studied some other countries like the Philippines, Korea, Japan. If you look at all of them, they all had their history of how their industry began. So we for us in Africa, we need to look at how can we how can we find a model that works for Africa, that works for Nigeria. For us, we have the population, we have so many people, we can train, and there are schools training. In fact, there's a school that trains. They've trained up to 6,000 animators. They've trained 6,000 animators, but the truth is, what's the point of having 6,000 animators if there's no project to work on?
Yeah. Oh, his power is flickering there, as you can see. One of our challenges. I'm going to throw this up here because we can still hear you. Can you hear us? Uh, Hopefully he can hear us. Can you hear us? Ayodele? You muted him. He's muted. Uh, Everybody's just jumping in. One of the challenges again. Uh, we were talking about just the challenges of creating and just every day. Oh, he's back up. Okay, let's see. Hopefully he'll be back. But just the everyday challenges. For those just jumping in, we've been having an amazing conversation so far with CEO and founder of Spoof Animation, Ayodele Elegba, out of Lagos, Nigeria. Everybody, the drill. Make sure you hop in and ask your questions. Say, hey, let me take this off here. We got him back. We have him back here. He is back. What the? I mean, obviously there's a lot of stories, Africa has to tell, and there's a lot of different, mythos and legends and just things that you can get into. Obviously, we saw, a little bit of it before we started the show that you worked on. What are some of the other kind of stories that you're hoping to kind of tell with Spoof? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when Spoof started, we had this idea to change the world. To tell stories. Tell African stories. You know, um, and then we had a couple of scripts. We have a couple of IPs that we developed and all that. But right now, for Spoof, we've come to realize that for every festival I go, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. This week, three or four people came into my DM talking about a powerful story. Everybody
Yeah.
has a story.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we have a story? The question is, how do we get these stories seen? How do we? There's no point having 1,000 stories and nobody tells them.
Yeah.
So we decided that, look, we are going to be that studio that helps others who have stories to tell their story.
Okay.
You know, because if Don Terrell has a story, how are you going to get the story to be told? Someone has to help, because you alone cannot bring it out. Animation is not just something one person can do. It's a village. It takes a village to make animation.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of storytellers, stories dying every day. They're dying because there's nobody like myself who's saying, look, let's look at your story, let's develop together, let's come up with a pilot episode, let the world have a taste of what your story is about.
Yeah.
And that was what led That was what led me to my journey in the US last year, because I really wanted to talk to um, the black community in the US, and let them see that there is a way now to tell your stories. You don't need to have the big studios, to tell your stories now. You could partner with a studio like Spoof, come out with a pilot episode, and then you could take that to pitch to the big studios. Look, say, look, I've done this. See the quality, see what we can do, see what the story sounds like,
Yeah.
And I was so happy that I met this lady, Ashley Vanderkamp. I met her in Afro Animation Summit last year, and we just hit it off. I love. And guess what? Right now we are doing great stuff. She has a 5 minutes pilot episode out, and she's talking to big networks now about the project.
Awesome.
She's the story is being told. People are now listening to her. But imagine if we had not met. Imagine if she did not have a studio like myself, who is willing to believe in the project and say, look, let's collaborate, let's
Yeah.
partner on this together, and let's make this story real, not just something in your imagination.
Yeah. So do you feel like it's uh those events like Afro Animation, Annecy, Lightbox that really open up the opportunity for creators to connect, to possibly work together, even if they didn't get a job at a studio? I mean, I know everybody's going there obviously to, you know, connect with the studios that are going to be there. But do you feel like, especially now in this day and age that we're in, with the tools that we have, free tools that are as powerful as some paid tools are, that you can create stories and tell stories and get your ideas out there? Do you feel like more creators are kind of thinking along those lines of getting together with a few friends, even if it's a few friends working on a project together and working on their project, as opposed to, even if they're, and that's the thing I noticed about a lot of the guests that I've had on, even the ones that are working at Pixar and Disney and Sony and all, they're still working on their own projects. They're still working on their own stories with their friends that they pulled in. Hey, I'm working on, I got this idea. Can you help me with this? Or can you work on it with this? They're all still working on their own things. Do you feel like that's kind of the mindset now, with the age that we're in, with the tools that we have and the social media and the reach that we have now, that we don't have to necessarily go through gatekeepers like we used to?
Yeah, that's the in thing now. That's the new wave now. With the advent of social media, with the advent of different content platforms where you could actually monetize, is very
Yeah.
good now. YouTube is paying very well. So a lot of
And you got a lot
creators
of
are like,
streaming content or streaming platforms now that are going after
exactly,
original content. Just
exactly, yeah.
original content. So that's what I mean. Do you feel like now they're not thinking, creators now are not so much thinking that, okay, I got to go to, Sony or Warner Brothers to get my thing out there. I can go to Amazon or get a streaming platform and get just as big, if not bigger, reach in what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you are totally correct. You are totally correct. But let me just shed some light to another angle, because I'm a creative person, and one of the things I know about creative people is creative people want to create. We don't want to go. We don't want to do marketing. We don't want to do publicity. We just want to create.
Yeah.
So that
Well,
so
I put that caveat in when I say that. I say it takes a lot of work and discipline to do
a
it
lot,
that way.
a
You
lot,
can do
a
it
lot
that
of work.
way, but you're not capped. When I'm saying that, you're only capped by as much energy and passion that you put into it if you go that route to do it yourself, or try to build it yourself, rather than go to a studio and get a 9 to 5 job, type of thing, and do it that way. Um,
To be honest with you, I've seen a lot of creators who have who have burnout. They've burn out, trying to. It's not. It's very hard. It's very, very, very hard. maybe out of the 100%, maybe 2% manage to just break out and achieve something for themselves. It's very, very hard. And a shout out to those who are doing it. It's really tough.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really I tried to do it for a while, and I realized that it doesn't
Well, it's
it's
a lot of work doing it the regular way. I mean, it's a lot of work putting a thing together to pitch to a studio. Even if you're just
yeah,
pitching it to a studio, it's still a lot of work to do that.
yeah.
What have you noticed from the ones that are coming to you for Spoof to help that they're kind of missing or that they don't get right off the bat that you have to kind of educate them on or say, hey, you were thinking this way about this, but this is really how we should approach it.
Okay.
Or is there
So,
a kind of general theme that you thread that you see that every person that you talk to that's coming to you to help develop a story, this they don't quite get this about it, you know?
yeah, I think the major one is people thinking that because we have AI now, then you know it should be it should be easy. It should be very cheap. They and I've met guys that say, look, YouTube is paying. YouTube is monetized. I need content. I need content. I need content now, 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 now. Give me content now. Let me put on YouTube and you know. So I guess they don't see the amount of work that goes into just 1 minute of animation. A
Yeah.
lot of work goes into um so and I try to educate them like it's not that easy, it's not that fast. uh and I think the other thing I think they have is they there's this illusion that money comes immediately, like, oh,
Mm,
once sure. So if I have this animation, everybody will love it. Everybody will, give me money. It's not always true. From my experience, you get a lot of thumbs up. Wow, awesome, cool. Oh, great. Ooh, nice. We,
oh man, yeah, a
when is
lot
it
of the
coming out? When is it?
surface.
When is it
Yeah.
coming out? And, and when it comes out, you see the numbers.
Yeah, it is tough. And I think people come back and say that when they do, like, try and like market like a Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, that's a lot of work to just get
Exactly.
your idea and stuff out there
Just
and get people
just
on
imagine
board.
Kickstarter. Kickstarter alone is tough. See, Kickstarter is
Yeah.
tough.
So
Ah,
uh, I think people really do need to kind of, like I said, watch what I like to call the behind the scenes, and you'll get a better appreciation for the work that goes into what it is you're trying to do. What's to this point, what's been kind of the best piece of advice that's kind of helped you in building Spoof that somebody's maybe given to you?
okay. I wouldn't say somebody. Okay, maybe one or two. I think I have three solid mantras I follow. Um, One of them is from my mentor, Dr. Samadeyemi. He's also a pastor here in Nigeria. When I heard this from him first, I was blown. He said start with what you have. Always start with what you have. And I think a lot of us, we look down on what we have. We look down on the experience we have. We look down on the skills we have. We look down on um, maybe the job we have. We don't really see. We don't count it as anything. And many people don't know this, but I started Spoof with what I had. You know, Before Spoof, I had like a couple of guys I was training in my school then. Called Comic Panel. I was just training them, were young guys. When I heard that message, start with what you have. I was like, I'm going to start with these guys. And we
Mm,
started. Second thing I have is don't give up. Don't give up. don't give up, because this second mantra or philosophy I have leads to the third one, which is be consistent. A lot of people don't know that for you to be consistent, you mustn't give up. You mustn't give up. And I see a lot of people start something and it's not good enough. Oh, it's not quality enough, and because of that, they just scrapped it and they give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And I see a lot, especially here in Nigeria, you see a lot of people like really criticizing themselves, really beating themselves up. Oh, this is not Disney quality. This is not Disney quality. I'm not there yet. I'm rubbish. I'm nobody.
Yeah.
And then they pack up and go.
Yeah.
you know. But I realized very early on that traveling from different countries, I was in Brazil at one point, and I saw the kind of animation that they were enjoying. It wasn't close to what Disney was doing, but it was story. It was
Yeah.
storytelling.
Story.
You
Yeah.
know, it was
Yeah.
storytelling. So
Yeah.
give yourself room to fail. Fail, you can win. You have to fail and try and fail fast. Try and fail fast. When we began Spoof, I was the joke of the town. Everybody was laughing at me. Ayo, this is crap. This is rubbish animation. How dare you insult us with this? Oh, my eyes are sore. you know
Oh man.
and then
Like I
and
said,
then I'll
people
get
don't
home
get
at
it.
night. Boo,
It's hard
hoo,
building.
hoo, hoo,
It's
hoo.
hard building something. It takes a lot of, like you said, consistency and persistence in building something and sticking with it. Even when it's not going the way you want it to go. And I tell people that just with this show, I stick with it. You know, Even when it's not going the way I would love it to go. It's consistency for
Yeah.
sure. Miss Kelly Campbell, even cutting corners in animation is still a lot of work. Yeah, I've had a couple of, I guess they would be producers, the ones that kind of, you know, handle the asset allocation and stuff. Even that's it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to put even the shortest animation together. Heck, Aaron Blaze took well, he did it himself, which is amazing. But his short, oh, no, it's not Polar Bear. Uh, but his
Brother
short,
Bear, brother Bear.
well,
Took him 3 years.
no,
Brother Bear.
that was the one he did at Disney. The one he just released, that one, or I don't think it won, but it was nominated for animated short. It's
Oh yeah, yeah. At the Oscars. What's it
Polar
called?
Bear. Polar
No, 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 no,
Bear. Is,
no, no.
but it's about a polar bear. It's a short
I've
about a
seen, I've
polar
seen it.
bear. I
I've
can't
seen it.
remember the name
Yeah,
of it, but it took him 3 years. He did it himself. Like I said, over 11,000 drawings. That's a lot. But again, it shows you that it's possible to create something yourself if you have the time and dedication to put into it.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I
It's
mean.
called Snow Bear. Snow
Snow
Bear.
bear, that's what it is, snow bear. But again, that's my point that I like to get across. The creators. Yeah, you would. A lot of people would love a job at Apple, love a job at Disney, love a job at Pixar. Any animator, worth their weight would love that. But again, you don't have to. And you shouldn't. You should be creating, even while you're looking for a job, whatever that may be, because that makes your skill better and you get better at it. Plus, you may realize that, hey, I do have a story and I do enjoy telling my own story. You may find that you do have the drive to market, brand, and get your idea out there. It's not cut out for everybody, but the avenue is there. That's my thing is now with these, because obviously I'm a little, older, and I've been in the industry, advertising, graphic industry a little while. So I've seen technology. I started before computers. Everything I learned on computers, I was self-taught. I didn't learn in school. I didn't go to school for computer design or anything like that. My degree is in traditional production graphic design. And so everything when I started was done by hand. paste up in hand. So I've seen this progression of technology, and I've enjoyed watching how creatives have taken this technology and gotten their ideas out there, without having to feel like they're hemmed in again, waiting to get into this studio or that, for sure. But, I mean, for you, obviously you have stories to tell, you want to help other, creators, content creators over there. Are you starting to see more creators have stories that they're wanting to, say, hey, I got a story? And do you feel like, what's your kind of measurement for whether the story is okay, this is a story we can work with, or I don't think this is the right story? Is there kind of a criteria or a measuring stick for you to say, this is the project I want to go in on, and I now don't want to do this one?
Okay. I first of all, let me say I've never met anyone who doesn't have a story. Everybody has a story. You know, everyone has a story. You know, and I think that's the key to the success of any good story. I think I meet a lot of people that feel they have this mindset of saying, look, oh, what is Netflix looking for? Oh, what is Disney looking for? Oh, what is Hulu looking for? You know, and then they go back and they try to create something for
For
Netflix
that,
or something
yeah.
for Hulu. No, 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 that's wrong. That's wrong. Um, your story should be authentic to you. Even if you work in a studio like Pixar, the reason why Pixar has been so successful is because most of their most of their movies have been director driven, meaning the stories come from the directors, and it usually comes from the personal experience of the directors. Whether it's iRobot, whether it's Wally E, whether it's
Wally, yeah, or
Toy Story, whatever.
yeah,
It's something that resonates with the director. You know,
yeah,
so my advice is that when you are trying to create stories, try and make it authentic, like authentic to yourself, not like an autobiography, but like there are things that you have gone through your life that resonates with you, and I think that's another challenge, because sometimes when creating stories, you don't realize that even though I'm in Nigeria, there are some themes go through over there as well. For example, love, love, jealousy, betrayal, these themes,
yeah. Those are basic
poverty.
emotions. Yeah, basic emotions.
Exactly,
Everybody
exactly.
feels. Yeah, yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
So the question is, how do you lace your story with those emotions? How do you tell a story about somebody in Lagos, Nigeria, that can resonate with somebody in China or maybe in Brazil?
Yeah,
And I think that's it. Find that authenticity, finding that uniqueness of this has not been done this way before. I don't believe there's anything new under the
yeah,
sun. I feel we're recycling stories,
yeah. It's just
but
all
then
recycling.
you could always find. For example, I was just watching um, Spider Noah,
Oh
on
yeah, yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, yeah,
Latest, I was like, this classic, Alfred Hitchcock type, just, it's the same story,
yeah,
there's nothing new, but it's the way you tell the story now that resonates with people. So just find your authentic self and try and let it come across, because this is another thing. When you are telling a producer about your story, the producer is looking into your eyes and wondering if you really believe in this story.
yeah.
I remember when I was in France, I was pitching one of my comic books to become a TV series. And the producer then, what's her name? She was like, Ayo, I can see it in your eyes. You believe in this story. You've lived in this world. I said, yes, I've lived in the ghetto. I can tell this story. So
But you're right, though. I mean, you have to. They want to see the passion, and that was the one thing I
yes,
watched. Like, if you watch like a lot of the Pixar behind the scenes Pixar, making of, they'll show some of them show like the pitch session, and they'll
yeah,
show them really animated. And there was one guy that said, "Hey, you got to go in there animated, and they want to see that you believe in these characters more than they believe in the characters, acting them out and all of it, just going through the emotion of it. That lets the director know that, hey, this guy is passionate about this story here.
yeah.
Everybody just
You have
jumping
to.
in. We're having an amazing conversation with Mr. Ayo Elegba, CEO and founder of Spoof Animation. Um, what's you know looking out, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, where do you see Spoof in kind of this space?
Okay, for us in the next 2 years, we want to be the go-to studio, um, service studio that helps storytellers, you know, turn their stories into animated series or movies. Um, then in the next 5 years, we want to begin to look inwards in our own stories and our own IPs as well, and start telling our own stories. Then, by then, would have built a good workforce, would have built trust in the industry, would have built the manpower, would have a lot of references of things we've done for Disney, Netflix, and Marvel by then. And then we could say, look, let's do something really African. It looks like a long time, but we are willing to wait. We are willing to build, and that's why right now we're partnering with young, upcoming producers, creators, who we want to grow with. We want to grow them now, so that when they grow and become big as well, we grow big, together. And we're really, really looking out for very authentic stories. Um, Not just people who have just stories, but who also have skin in the game. Who are ready to also put their money where their mouth is. You know, because I've seen a lot of people who just have stories and just want to dump the story on you. Just want to dump the story on you, and then they continue on their 9 to 5 job. No, 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 no. You need to.
You gotta put some skin in this game here with it, for sure. That lets you know. Trust me, I've had a few people that they want you to get involved in there, especially if they're not paying you. They want you to get involved, but they don't show any passion or they don't put any skin in the
Yeah,
game. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, jeez.
So
Everybody,
yeah, we are really looking for that. Yeah, yeah.
no, for sure. And that's, I think, again, that's where I feel like these great conventions like Afro Animation, like Annecy, like Box, like Comic Con, what you're putting together, they give creators a place to connect and meet each other, and like I said, build these relationships to where they can forge and create these great stories. I'm excited about kind of the future of the stories that are coming out, and the styles. I think, like I said, with the creators that are coming out that are just, they're wanting to experiment. They're not, locking themselves into, like you said, a Disney style or a Pixar style. They're experimenting with the tools that are out there and just seeing what they create. I mean, you got a lot of, you know, animators that are using Unreal, you know, engine to create stuff. It's just crazy the tools that we have now that allow storytellers to tell their stories. And obviously, I think it all, like you were just saying, goes back to the core of the story.
Yeah, 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 you're totally right. I just want to also mention that, and I think this is also a challenge I've seen in industry. We unconsciously just lump everything together and say we are all storytellers. We are not all storytellers. There are writers, there are designers, there are character designers, there are storyboard artists. There are all these type of people who must come together to make this thing happen. Because you know you just having an idea for a story doesn't make it a story. You need to write the scripts. You
Yeah,
need
you need to write
to
the script, develop the
in the format
characters.
in the format that you are going for, whether it's a comic book or animation or a series, and then you need to do the other things that you need to do, to put the work together. Because I see a lot of people stop at that. Oh, I'm a creator. I have lots of stories. So what next? You have 100 stories. So what next? You know,
Well, I mean, you got to
you know.
realize, like you said, what your shortcoming is. Again, I mean, I may have a lot of ideas and stories, but I'm not a writer per se.
Exactly.
So I know that I need to work with
Find a writer.
a writer that
Yes.
writes in the style that I like. I'm not a, I
Yes.
couldn't tell you how to produce an animation, but I made relationship with animation producers. So you work to fill in these gaps of where your shortcomings are. Like you said,
Hmm.
one person real it's rare that one person will put a whole thing together. And even then, it's still not one person. Even Aaron Blaze, he did the animation himself, but he went to a music studio. Like I said, what you call did the art, the music for it. Was it what's the Lucasfilms? You know,
Hmm.
Lucasfilms scored the. They did all of that, so he still has to have other help to put something
Yeah.
together. There is no solo thing of putting together. Are
And
you
I
in?
think that, yeah, I
No,
think
go
that's the
ahead.
message. I think that's the message we should pass across. That we need each other. We need each other. You can't do it alone. You know, I'm saying this because there are so many tools right now. You can be that you can do everything. You might just think, oh, I have this AI tool. I have this AI tool. I can do everything. Um, as sweet as that might sound, it's not advisable. You need to find a way of collaborating, finding
Yeah,
friends, working
you do it
together
that
with
way.
other
Like you
people.
said, you'll quickly burn out. Really, you'll burn
Exactly,
out really
exactly.
quickly trying to do
Fast.
everything yourself, and
Yeah.
realize that you can't for sure. Um, you gave some really. Where are we at here? Like I said, this time always goes by like so quick. We are already in an hour and 15 minutes.
Are we almost done?
I told I'm really mindful and really respectful of my African brothers and sisters because I know it's always late over there and it's past 10 o'clock over there now. So he's hit 10:15, 10:15. So we're gonna bring this train into the station because I do always try to be respectful. But it has been a great conversation. Um, Diving into just your journey of building Spoof, and what it's taken to build Spoof over there. Um, parting just a parting word of what you would like people to kind of walk away from this interview, knowing about you and about Spoof.
Okay. I would like to say that Spoof is a we are 10 years old now as a studio. We really we enjoy the animation art form. We love animation. We really see ourselves growing and becoming a powerhouse. In terms of animation, especially 2D animation. For as a service studio, service company, helping others to achieve their dreams. So I think I want to call out to independent producers who have story ideas, who are looking for maybe a writer, storyboard artist, animatics person, and then who wants to like put out a pilot episode or a sizzler, just to show the world what their story is all about. We're really looking to collaborate. We're looking to work with people like that who are passionate, who have skin in the game. Um, Hopefully, I'll be in the US again for San Diego Comic Con.
Oh wow.
Hoping to
Okay.
meet more. Yeah, I'll be at San Diego Comic Con this year, hoping to meet more creators, network and talk and all that. I would like to say that it takes a village to make animation. We need to work together.
Yeah.
Whether you're a writer, you're a storyboard artist, find someone you can work with. Find someone in your area where you can collaborate and start something, because we all need each other. The advent of AI, people think that with AI, you can do things alone, but I would say with the advent of AI is when we need to even come more together.
Even more.
AI would force us to come together, and I'm seeing that more of that happening. We should not allow, slavery has made we blacks to have this mindset that you need to survive alone. We need to break that shackle, because I come from a country where when we were colonized, this is what they call divide and rule. They divide you to rule
Yeah.
you.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
it
and
was the
and I
same over here. I mean, it was this. I mean, it's the same. That's how you
And so
rule.
I see that happening
Yeah.
a lot, over and over and over. Where there's this master mentality where you feel you need to, appease to a master that doesn't exist anymore. We need to find our roots. We need to find our voice. We need to tell our own stories, and it's easier now. It's possible. And
Yeah.
Spoof Animation is here to do that for you.
Yeah.
So please give us a call and let's work together.
Definitely. Like I said, it's Spoof Animation is one of those studios again that's definitely needed. We need a lot more diverse studios that are creating and telling stories, for sure. Definitely make sure that you connect with IO on Instagram, IO Dream Maker on Instagram. Check out his LinkedIn, connect with him there as well. Check out even more of some of the work. And I do want to show like this before we go, because I did like this little short. I think it's this one.
Hey.
You captured, Nigeria, really good. You captured that
Give me
This is
40
Nigerian
Lagos.
life.
This is
seconds to
Lagos,
go.
Nigeria.
Olaji,
Yeah.
let me end this.
I shouldn't have come at all. I told you this was going to take longer than a minute.
You still sulk over your fellowship with your woman when lives are at stake.
I love it. Are you looking to is 2D? Are you looking to dabble in 3D or other stuff? Are you looking to dabble in 3D or
Look
other,
at him. I can take him even without the costume.
And yet, here
I
we
can't,
are.
I can't hear you.
Ugly face.
Hold on.
What's your problem with me?
Oh, wait.
Ugly face. I am Ganyu, harbinger of the Dark Lord, the one that is to come, messenger of darkness
Well,
and...
Ganyu, tell your Dark Lord that I, Strike God, the one that is already here, does not need him to come. We like our world without Dark Lords.
You have jokes, son of lightning. But you won't be smiling soon. No one can stop the Dark Lord. He has waited 1,000 years for this day.
Nice. Is 2D kind of the thing for you? Like I said, it's great animation. Or are you looking to dabble in 3D and maybe other styles, or is just 2D kind of your lane of
No,
where you want to stay?
we actually have a 3D department as well, so we do both 2D and 3D. But because we started with 2D, a lot of people know us for 2D. We do 3D as well. We really want to push the campaign for 3D as well. But when people know you for 2D, people know you for 2D. But we do
Yeah.
3D as well. Yeah.
No, that was great animation. Like I said, I think that is what is really needed. It shows this kind of simplicity of everyday life in Nigeria.
Yes.
That it's just the everyday stuff that we do here that we don't see other countries and continents doing. And I think that's what's needed more. Is just the everyday things that we all go through and all deal with, type of thing. For sure. Kelly Campbell, loved it. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Again, make sure that you do connect with Ayodele, because, again, like he said, it is all about connecting and coming together and working together. And that's what I love about doing this show is I get to meet people and connect with people in the industry, like Ayodele and Spoof Animation. So cannot wait to meet you in person. Hopefully, maybe next year. I'm looking to maybe next year get to Afro Animation. So we'll see. But definitely, we need like functions and events like those, more of those, because that's where
Yeah.
you know you're able to really meet other people that are in it, passionate about the industry that you can build
Yeah.
relationships with. So can't say it any better than that. Like I said, this has been a fun interview, and like I said, so glad we were able to get it back around really quickly from your
Yeah.
last, from the first time. Like I said before, I know your color motion family now. Anything that Spoof Animation is working on, you're always welcome to come on and promote and just come on and catch us up with what Spoof is got going on, for
Yeah.
sure. But if you could, well, I know it's late. I usually ask people to hang out in the green room while I close out, but it's late. What I'll do is I'll hit you up Monday and shoot you the episode. But I do appreciate, unless you want to hang out for a second while I close out the show so I can talk to you, real quick. But
Sure, I'm here. Thank
okay.
you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So keep up the good work. Love you, man.
Everybody, please, please, please help me thank again very special guest, Mr. Ayodele and Elegba, for coming on and being a part of the show. Hang out for a second, Ayo, while I close out the show. Man, this has been another great episode, and what a killer way to close out Q2. I cannot thank Ayo enough for coming on and being part of this quarter, being part of this show. Can I thank you, the viewers, for being a part of the show and always showing up? As I always say, I cannot do it without you. So looking forward to, I always look forward to a little hiatus. It goes by quick, but I'll probably be playing some blast from the past episodes during the hiatus. Just some really, really obscure old episodes that I haven't aired before. You can't watch them during hiatus. So, as always, I will miss you guys a little during hiatus, a lot during hiatus. But again, we will be back with a bunch of new stuff, bunch of great guests. I will be the next week releasing our next group of guests that it's going to be for next month. So get excited. I'm excited. Can't thank you enough for always hanging in there with me. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And better yet, I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. I can't say I will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, because we're on hiatus. But I will see you after hiatus, same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Cheers.